My name is Mckay, founder and president of Life Outside the Streets. Born and raised in Philadelphia, North Philly to be exact, Erie Avenue to be a little more exact, 19th of Erie. However, I went to Girard College from 2nd to 12th grade. Girard College is a boarding school where you take a test to get in, and basically, Stephen Girard founded the school after there was a yellow fever pandemic, and he founded the school for the orphans that were left behind because so many people had died, like how people are dying from COVID. And he founded the school so some of the children, so the boys, some of the families could have a place to learn and have a family, because he played an instrumental role in nursing and helping people survive the pandemic. When everybody that was here, because the White House was in Philadelphia, but when yellow fever came, everybody went down to D.C. Stephen Girard stayed here, and Girard College is something that he put in his will to basically provide a place for the orphans, to those families to have a future. Fast forward to Cecil B. Moore and our black ancestors marching around the wall, because when Stephen Girard created Girard College, it was during a time where black people didn't have rights, so the only citizens and orphans in the town was white orphans. So they changed the law so that it couldn't only be for white orphans. It was basically for kids that come from what I say a disadvantaged background. But it has probably got to do with if your parents was married when I was there, and some type of income level as far as your household, which qualifies you as a candidate to apply for the school. But I say all of that to say, because Girard College is instrumental in why I founded Life Outside the Streets. After I graduated in 2002, I recognized the impact that Girard had on me, and just having a different curriculum and having a safe place to go to school every single day and not have to worry about food, clothing, and shelter. We had our own tellers, we had our own, we had uniforms, but everybody had their own clothes that was brand new, custom made. We were fed, all cooked meals, no microwave stuff, and treated like the kings and queens that we are. And all of that played a role into making me the person that I am and how I live. But now, after I graduated in 2002, and I seen that people that didn't go to Girard College or other prestigious schools, I seen the difference in their education and how they understood things. And I recognized that to be the only difference between them being successful and not so successful. So I created Life Outside the Streets as a tool to level the playing fields, just like Stephen Girard created Girard College to do the same thing, because I knew everybody couldn't go to Girard. And Girard only had like 500 students or something like that at the time. Please don't quote me on the stats, but because I'm sharing everything from memory. But the main point is, Life Outside the Streets was a way for me to create a safe space for people to learn and focus on being great students and being great people, and with a high level education. Life Outside the Streets is like a hybrid of Girard College, and that's a reality that I just came to. What inspired me outside of growing up at Girard and recognizing the great impact it had on giving me a mindset to continue to build and experience Life Outside the Streets, looking at where the trauma came from, as it relates to the police and the justice system falsely accusing my uncle of murder and giving him life, so that I was born an activist, because we've been fighting for him to come home, since he's been locked up. And now, that, so that's the personal, connection that it has to me, not just for my uncle, but for all of us people. We're all targeted as a people. We already know it. We learned it in school. We watch it on Netflix. We report about it. We report on the news on it every single day. It's a political topic, as it should, because it always should be a political topic until we change it. It doesn't make any sense for us, in the Constitution, is still to say that we only 3/5 of a person. you know, this is all relevant to why life outside the streets exists. It's not a rant. You understand? Because I learned that, you know, setting up an entity and just providing the right service, you know, genuinely and effectively is all we've been missing to pull us together. So now here we are, you know, and treating trauma is at the center of that. So trauma is toxic stress that comes from things that we experience, which isn't, you know, which everyone experiences. However, when you don't know how to treat that trauma and you don't cope with that in a healthy way, for whatever the reason, whether it's poverty, whether it's, you know, abuse, and just like, because I say that because poverty might put you in a situation where you have to neglect certain things, where you can't provide certain things. So you're not intentionally trying to hurt your kids or anything like that, or yourself, but you just don't have the means to do it. But some people have the means, and just the way that we live, we neglect certain things. We neglect to give our children love when we neglect to give them attention. Even though we're going to work, we're doing all this for them, but they need love. So that's neglection that's going unaccounted for. So, you know, trauma is as treating trauma and learning that through a trauma-informed care training, you know, that became the priority of life outside the streets. So, inspired through, you know, life outside. So saying all of that to say, life outside the streets was inspired by my grade school experience at Girard College, and, you know, recognizing, you know, how the community was suffering as a result of just a lack of education on how to think, critical thinking, you know, listening skills, life skills, basic life skills, and knowing that, you know, in the community you have an opportunity to offer education. So I just want to share with people that what I've learned that allowed me to navigate through life so that they can navigate through life more effectively. And now we live in a time where, you know, it's a business of us teaching each other. But the thing that we're overlooking as a community is treating that trauma. Like, that cannot be a side job. It has to be the foundation of what we're doing. Because when you operate with untreated trauma, you are operating from a damaged state when you don't have a lifestyle of healing. So you can never arrive and not have to treat your trauma, but you would definitely, you know, treating your trauma has to be a lifestyle. Violence is a product of untreated trauma, which is a product of a mental health crisis. Everybody in this country, and particularly everybody from our culture, we're dealing with a mental health crisis since we was born. So the reason why, you know, a lot of young men and men, period, in our community are having challenges, you know, dealing with conflict in a safe way is because of the impact of untreated trauma. So what is untreated trauma? Untreated trauma is when it's stress, it's toxic stress. So when you experience stress, especially and particularly as a kid, which as a result of the conditions in the black community where the violence that we're talking about is at, we all grow up in a stressful environment. However, there's a small community of our people that don't ever develop the proper coping skills to deal with that toxic stress. And even though thank God, everyone doesn't become a murderer, everyone has been to a point where stress has led them to do a violent act, whether it be verbal or physical. So in our community, most of the men most of the men are not in the household to teach to provide and teach the proper coping skills for both the men and the women in the house. They don't even know who. Yeah. Already, I'm working in the school. They don't even look at each other. So like, they looking at when they saying the op, they think anybody. You get what I'm saying? So
that's a scary way to live. You don't know who's who, and you know, even
because we don't know each other. But what I told them while I was there was, I said, I got news for y'all. Newsflash. All y'all family. So as I was saying, the absence of the father impacts both the males and the females in the household. and particularly to know how to cope with things, effectively. But now when we talk, the question was about men in particular, though. So, with the absence of that father, not just being there, but teaching the proper coping skills, which look like talking about and communicating what your issue is and figuring out a legitimate plan to resolve the issue. You don't have anybody there to teach you that effectively. So when they come across conflict, they're dealing with it in the way that they learn how to deal with it. Everyone uses attacking language, and all of that is violence, so it develops a culture of violence. And now these individuals that are resorting to guns, resorting to stealing, they don't know how to deal with their emotions in a healthy way. And it's not that no one has taught them or went out their way, but it's that no one was successful at doing the job. So now as a community, which is the main thing, is we have to prioritize just educating them. Right now, when people make mistakes, all we do as a system and as a community is threaten them and try to use more fear, which you already dealing with a person that's living in fear. So now you're just making matters worse by scaring them. Those that have went through the system and came out differently, it's because they went in with a different foundation. They didn't get in their situation because of fear. Those individuals go in, if they get, redirected or corrected, most of the time they grow because they use the time, they reflect, and they have the proper coping skills. But those that don't have the proper coping skills, they resort to things like violence, drug addiction, stealing, and any other bad habits that they have, because that's what they were exposed to, and now they don't know how to make, quality decisions. So that's basically my take on why, black men struggle with violence in our community.
Mckay. I was asked to come out by Ash, right? By Queen Ash. She reached out to me on Instagram. My name is Mckay. I'm from Erie Avenue. I went to Girard College from 2nd to 12th grade, born and raised in Philadelphia. In 2007, I started a nonprofit organization. It's called Life Outside the Streets. And right now, our mission is to treat trauma through arts, education, and information. Since 2015, when I learned, basically all the violence, drugs, and the things that plague our city are a product of untreated trauma. What's trauma? Trauma is, poverty, having a parent that's incarcerated, having a parent with a mental health condition, seeing violence, experiencing bullying. Anything that is that will cause you to stress. You get what I'm saying? That's what trauma is. And I learned, while working inside the schools in 2015, I was working at Sarah High School. I learned in a 1-hour session that untreated trauma damages what they call your stress response system. And that damages your ability to make decisions. And the reason why I'm saying all of that is, to the best of my knowledge, we're here because of an act of violence. And this act of violence came from an individual that didn't treat their trauma. And I'm not here to excuse no acts, but we got to understand how we got here, so that we can stop being here. I talked to his mother, and what she expressed to me is that we got to teach these children, and that's what I've dedicated my life to do through my nonprofit organization, Life Outside the Streets. I just wanted to give you a little introduction of who I am before I move forward and read a post from how you say his name? Jihad. From Jihad. I'm gonna read a post that his mother shared with me, and then I'm just gonna kind of go in and to share with you guys what else we're doing outside of educating, individuals on what trauma is. The mission that we're on right now, to put security on every block, not to police every block, but to make it safe, so that we can spread this message, so that our children and loved ones can live. But not the police, but so that we can educate everybody and help them understand how we got here and where we're going from here. So the first post says, God has a way of showing things, showing you things. Is how he opened up. He said, God has a way of showing you things, a way to teach you lessons and help you grow. It took me long to realize that while everyone else was busy finding faults in me, you, talking about God, were busy trying to fix them. My queen, she was young, no help, no support, and came out of boss. You're my motivation and inspiration. I love you forever. R.I.P. Dad, he wrote.
Jabril.
And then another post says, I lost money, homies, family, and damn near my mind, but I never lost my morals as a man. I never will. I thank you, beloved, for those words because they couldn't be so true. You know, when it comes, that's what's missing. You know, in our schools, in our communities, in our homes, it's the fact that we're not really teaching morals anymore. Some of us, most of us that's here, I would say all of us that's here, we're here because why? We were taught morals. We learned them somehow, some way. But, you know, at some point as a community, we got to prioritize educating those around us that don't have them. And with that post, that was, you know, that was him paying it forward. And I say that to say that's what we got to continue to do. And that's what, you know, I took on the position to do with Life Outside the Streets as it relates to treating trauma. I'm not here, you know, I'm really here. I'm all about the solution. So I just, you know, first and foremost, dear Lord, thank you for waking us up this morning, blessing us with yet another day with food, clothing, and shelter. Thank you for your mercy, your grace, your unfailing, unconditional, everlasting love. Thank you for your wisdom, your power. Thank you for all that you've done, all that you do, and all that you plan to do. Thank you for Jahaz's life and everything that you bore him here to do. And thank you for everything that you took him away from here to do in his name and his honor. It's because of him that I'm standing here today. It's because of him that we're standing here today. With all on the mindset to do something better. We're all here. I know every one of us don't want to be here at another situation like this. So I know all of us are going to do something to prevent that. And it's because of him that we're going to turn it up another notch. However, on the immediate to stop the bleed right now to prevent it, I just wanted to acknowledge, you know, and send my condolences, you know, up front, because I'm coming here to bring the hope and the solution. Violence is going to continue to happen until we get safe. We're not safe.
It was 6 of us in one bedroom. Even though my uncle owned the building, it was still cold. Like his jail cell. And them phone calls that I've been taking since 4, now I'm 34. Slow it down, I can't skip all the loss I saw. It was almost Christmas on banging on the front door. I let him in and I can tell that it was wrong. Aunt Terry left home, now she gone. I wanted to cry, but the tears ain't never come, I swear. It's like my heart been close since 16 and I ain't even know. A year later, or a few years later, Grandma Dottie on the same boat. Now it's after world cause my heart turned cold. Next I graduated from Gerard, now I think I'm grown. 25 bed, I'm on the block, now I'm bold. It had me popping bottles at Chrome until the phone call. Hot Rod was shot dead on the street. We spent it to the block with the Glocks fully loaded. Before I knew it, RU was at the corner. What will it stop? Will it ever be over? Meanwhile, I'm treating my trauma, blowing on that sour. Diesel, flying higher than the eagle. Popping miles and popping bottles to stay peaceful. For a second, then I'm right back trapping, trying to treat my trauma with cash, but it won't happen. I kept relapsing, waking up stressing, until I learned the science on how this trauma caused brain damage. The sex, the money, the death, the drugs. How you gonna treat it when you living in the fog? Through art, through music, through groups, through love. I promise I'ma treat it till we all healed up. That was the first track, spoken word track both, that I wrote, you know, really telling my story. And, you know, it really tells a story and points out a lot of key things that was traumatic for me and impacted my thinking. Some people, you know, even if it initially might have been a financial interest, what keeps them in the streets and what is even required is to have a family perspective about the experience. So I myself am a returned citizen. I came home in 2014. I was locked up from 2012 to 2014 for selling drugs. I hustled from I graduated in '02. So I started hustling in by '03. So I'm like, if I want to bring the hustlers out, I gotta become a hustler. I knew, through my family and my community, it's easy. Anybody can become a hustler if you got the right connections and and you carry yourself right. So I started hustling, and while you hustling, is you just look at it as being another entrepreneur in the city, selling another product. The product is illegal because it's a drug, and the government can't tax it. That's what a drug is. When they charge an individual for selling drugs, you're getting charged and you're getting incarcerated because it's an uncontrolled substance, not because of anything it does to your body or people, not because of what it makes people do. The reason why it's illegal is because they can't control it. They can't tax it well. That's why liquor was illegal at one point. That's why look now, even marijuana, that's why that was illegal. But now they figured out a way to manage it, tax it. They created a whole system for it. So now they're slowly but surely making it illegal. Making it legal. But saying that to say, that's what I started. So that's the mindset of a drug dealer. Like, I'm just in business, and the risk is worth, this dollar. Because the dollar is real that you can make. You understand? But the whole time that I'm in it, I'm really just like studying it, checking out how and what, and studying the mindset that it takes, the mindset of the individuals that's in it, so that, I can communicate with them to help them see what's happening outside of this world. Because that's a world. It's a whole world that's going on inside of, the drug world, the crime world. It's a whole world. It's a whole nother mindset. And some people don't even know a mindset outside of that. I know that for a fact, but I've been on both sides. I've experienced life outside the streets, and I've experienced life inside the streets, and continue to experience both. We all are exposed to both because we're all one family and one village. But some people aren't conscious of the two worlds. They're not, they're not really aware of it. So, so while hustling, I'm not just hustling, and making money. I'm hustling to be safe and to make the money, because that's what it takes. You had to be successful in some light to survive. But the main thing I'm doing is really evaluating, so that once I'm in position to do things accordingly, I know how to communicate with those that aren't aware of this world, out of life outside the streets, and how to communicate to introduce them to the real world. And that's where we are now. So it's proven to be effective in the sense that, we're all by default have relationships with people that are locked in the mindset of being in the streets, or a dealer, which was the initial question, or a gang member. But, as long as all we have to do is introduce them, effectively, to how they can acquire wealth and be successful and be safe, outside of that world. Right now, when you look at America, if you're not attached to like a street gang, you're not safe. You got the police, you got the streets, and then you got civilians. Civilians don't have no protection. The only civilians that got protection is people like students, people that might live on a private property. But if you don't live on a private property or in that, you're not protected. So that's a big part of why people, take to the streets. So, you got the entrepreneur aspect of it, as far as the need. But then the other aspect of it is the family part, because in the streets, people really show love. They, a lot of reason why people turn to the streets is because because of some type of pain, because of something that happened in their family, or not having family. So they like, yo, you don't got nothing to eat, you don't got no money. Come on, young boy, let me put you on some paper, because this is a way for you to get some money and get some resources without taking the necessary measures that's telling you, hey, all right, kid, when you grow up and you get out of college, you'll be okay. But a kid is starving and hungry right now. So, that's why, people go to the streets. If I'm living in a broken community, that in a broken home, but in the first opportunity is in front of me that's going to change, that can change my situation, is it has a risk of being incarcerated, and majority of my family is incarcerated, or people I know is incarcerated anyway, that's the risk. I'm going to take the risk, is what most people are thinking. Because going the other route, they telling me I'm going to school and I'm telling people I don't have this and I don't have that, and they telling me I'm going to get it when I graduate, from college one day. Just stick it out. You get what I'm saying? But not giving me any immediate support, where the streets is like, yo, I got you. They putting food and money in my pocket right now.
So I don't want to spend time today, frankly, talking about what politicians need to do. What I want to talk about is what we got to do as black people who live in these neighborhoods as neighbors. I'm a neighbor. There's nothing about a stray bullet that won't hit Tony Williams in the head. Nothing. Same as you. But what we should do is understand this should be filled with 1,000 people right now. Their child's life matter. Some families in pain.
That is what, that is what institutions and services are supposed to do. Not so much as put money in people's pockets, but provide them with the proper care so that they have the proper mindset to learn the proper education, and then learn how to make money, an honorable way. So that's how all of that ties into it. So you have, the reason why you have families in the first place where kids aren't getting taken care of is because our families have been destroyed from the start, and then so we've been playing catch up the whole time in an educational system that has been sabotaging the information that we know. So when you look at, like I said in the beginning, or before, is that recognizing that the education, the curriculum, just the curriculum, what they chose for us to learn. The majority of the people while I was at Girard College, we was all from the same area of Philadelphia and went home on the weekends. So what does that mean? Anybody that could have went to Girard would have been able to thrive, with the right support. So we all had the same capabilities, but in the public school system, they gave out a poor curriculum. And they didn't have they didn't have a safe place for the kids to learn. So it's just like it's just that simple to fix things. But we already know that the fact that all these kids in the community, they're intentionally being taught the wrong thing. So that's why they don't trust us. That's why they don't listen. That's why they're doing what they want to do. So that's why we have the responsibility to create a safe space and now re-educate everyone formally, and give them a fair economic opportunity to get involved in the money. And that is what Life Outside the Streets is here doing, by educating through and healing. We're helping people heal through treating their trauma. And then, now you have the tools that you need to educate yourself. Now you can process the message that people are giving you, and you can build. We don't have no problem with building. We've been building with damaged goods. You get what I'm saying? But now the urgency around ending this violence is here. It's come to a head. So now as we force everybody to stop being violent, the drug dealer is not going to make it. Now, if you want to sell weed, you can sell weed legally in America. You get what I'm saying? It's a pathway to do it. If now we actually have a career path, and we got to make that more realistic. If individuals been out here hustling, and now we opening up marijuana shops, eventually, yes, we're going to have to make it fair for them to get into business. Why wouldn't they? Got experience. They got experience, so and now making people, so now once people are healed and they can process that, that's right there. I didn't have to say it. That was already right there. If you are reading and you're researching and you're processing things correctly, you'll see that if that's your interest.
Right now in the streets is the only place, if I want to be a soldier, I got to turn to the streets if I'm a teenager. So a part of this security service, we're going to have an academy for young people. And it's not about putting a gun in their hands so they can be reckless. Anybody that get a job, you got to be what? You got to be trained. During that training, they're going to be mentored. Everything about treating trauma, which is about empathy, which is about teaching you emotional intelligence, regulating your emotions. They're going to have to go through that type of training.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Sister Talia Taylor. I'm president of the City of Dreams Coalition, but I'm also also chair of the Social Music Movement podcast up at Glockwood Radio Station, Philly's #1 syndicated radio station. What we did was we started a community podcast, really getting at the elected officials, the spotlighting the ones that are doing great work, but also calling out the ones that aren't. Then we're also calling out these fake promoters, keep killing these young artists' dreams. And then on top of that, these community scam artists. It's time for us, young black kings and queens of the black and brown communities, to really stand up, start policing our own communities, and all of us come together. I'm here with my guy, Mckay, doing great work. I cannot wait to see and come down and see what you guys are doing. So very soon, hopefully in the next couple weeks, we get you guys up to the studio so we can tell them what's really good in the hood. With me, Sister Talia, and Kaboom 125, Gas Game Official.
Right, and you know, and this is a documentary, so you know, that's what's happening now in this moment. But I just wanted to, you know, share with the world, this is a queen that's on the front line. You know, we're doing the work, and this is all about showing that we're doing the work collectively.
Yep.
So thank you. You know, we're going to continue to go across the city and show different people, the different partners we have, and even meet new partners around the way.
When I see our children being murdered in the streets of Philadelphia, and just for the record, for some who may know me and may not know me, I've been doing this work for close to 20 years. And so if I wasn't an elected official, I would still be doing the same work.
Thank you.
Because I started doing this program called Peace Not Guns in 1998 when a cousin of mine was murdered in the streets of South Philadelphia. And I had the opportunity to retaliate with family members and friends, but I decided that I wasn't going to retaliate. And what I did was that Saturday held a prayer vigil called Peace Not Guns, because I knew no matter how many people whose lives were going to be taken as a result of him being murdered was not going to bring him back.
We got to present what that job and that future looks like in a more effective way. The drug dealer that's presenting them with that opportunity is doing a better presentation. It's not that school and things of that nature isn't good, but the way that it's being presented is like you got to wait all the way down the line to get to it. When our young people, and they're doing it on their own, but they're doing it separate from the school, separate from their families. They're doing their entrepreneurs and chasing their dreams pretty much on their own. They're not doing it together, all because of the adults that is in their life is not effective at connecting with them. Whether it be their parents or their teachers or the professionals. The only people that's really connect, the main people that's really connecting with them is the street culture. Because in the street culture, you know, you're not really, you can be you. It's like, just stay out my way, kind of. You know, so it's kind of like a free space. But we got to create that same free space in the honorable world. You get what I'm saying? Not that it, you know, I don't want to say honorable, because the street culture is honorable too, because it's written in, is founded in love. But we got to stop now. We got to, you know, we got to heal to the point where we can help everybody see that we don't have to grow through destruction no more. At one point, we was in a situation where we had to fight our way out, and we still fighting. But now we can fight much more smarter with our minds by organizing and healing. You know, and we're creating a pipeline for it. I get it. You know, that's what makes me effective is thinking about that one question. Why does the hustler hustle? Because the streets offer an opportunity that comes with love, support, and security. So in order to reach the hustler, that's what we got to come with: love, support, and security, and that's what we bring in.
Thank you. My name is Mckay, founder and president of Life Outside the Streets. Our mission is to treat trauma through arts, education, and information. First and foremost, thank you, Lord, for waking us up this morning and blessing us with yet another day with food, clothing, and shelter, and to carry out your will and your way and all that we think, say, and do. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Amen. Violence is a product of untreated trauma, which is a product of a mental health crisis. Amen. Everybody in this country, and particularly everybody from our culture, we're dealing with a mental health crisis since we was born. To treat that trauma, to deal with that, the first thing we got to do is do what? Create a safe space. So, you know, the education around trauma is, you know, what we started off doing, and right now the priority is security in Philadelphia, because that's going to create a safe space. What we're dealing with here is a community that everyone knows from this city across the world. You got a diploma, you know what we're dealing with. This is not safe for nobody. It's not safe for us to be here right now. It's not safe nowhere. And where does safety come from? It comes from security. College campuses, they got security. Everywhere that we have security in Philadelphia, it's safer. And for the most part, it's probably no violence at all. Violence isn't happening in places that are secure, not policed. Secured. We have a community of black-owned security companies that secure us when we go out and party at night. 1, 2 people at the door while there's a building full of people that come out to get intoxicated, and they're safe. So we got security on every block. Security at every rec center. It needs to be security everywhere. What does that do? It creates jobs. It creates security, and it creates a place for us to go in and teach about this trauma. Now we can heal. Because everybody, even the shooter, need a break. Because the shooter don't get no time off. He like this. So he gonna thank you. Everybody needs to be sat down because we got to pay attention to what's going on right now. We talk about history. We talk about all the bad stuff. But what we got right now is we got the president. We got the White House backing us. That's what every leader before us didn't have. We got executive orders saying that they're going to end poverty. And we got everything we need to make it happen. But we got to make things safe so that we can communicate this message clearly. Because one of the things that happens when you don't treat your trauma is you don't process things correctly. And see, when your brain is damaged, if you've seen a person in a wheelchair, with all due respect, you would never say why you're not walking. But see, what trauma does is impacts the brain. You can't see the damage. But if you knew that they had brain damage, you wouldn't be trying to police them and discipline them. You would treat them with care. That's the brain is the only organ that gets evaluated without getting looked at. You go to the hospital, you say your heart hurt, they looking at your heart. They looking at your organs, they don't look at the brain. So now if you understand that this violence and this bad behavior is coming from brain damage, and we need to love them, we need to provide them with care as if they're dying like a cancer patient, because they are. That's what the science says from the CDC. The same thing that COVID is to our community, it's a disease that when you're exposed to it, while we all got on masks right now, it can infect you. Well, guess what? We all experts in knowing that violence does the same thing. You can get it from a video game, you can get it from TV, but it's real bad when you're getting it from your news station showing you your loved ones each and every day. And on Instagram. And nobody has no hope. So I close out with the hope. Where we have our own security company. We're fundraising right now to GoFundMe to raise $1 million to show the city that we're serious. We didn't learn politics because of all of the oppressive history that we don't have time to talk about right now. But now we know it well enough. And the reason why we've been left out because we haven't organized and been following formalities. But we got people like Kenyatta and all of the people that's out here right now that are here. So it's time for us to organize and strategize and put it on their desks. If we don't put it on their desk in a formal way, they can't back it. You understand? So we're going to raise this $1 million overnight, moving forward. We raised 1,000. I just posted it last week. All I did was post it at a similar event that wasn't televised. It wasn't on no platform. But from here, we know where it's going. Shout out to No Gun Zone and everybody that has supported it to this point. But this is, everybody wants safety. Everybody. And in closing, we're not just providing security. We're not just, everybody's going to be trauma informed. Everything we want the police to be, we're going to make, we can create that with the security. And it's to support the police. Because this is the prevention plan that we don't have. Because all they have the resources to do is to respond to trauma. You understand? So we're going to create academies where we train people that have a knack for combat and want to be in security and law enforcement so they can get involved as teens. You understand? And train them in self-defense for everybody. Now, if everybody got the same security works for us and was created by us, we all safe. And that's the plan. So let's get it done.
Thank you, Jan.
Come on, Big.
Actions speak louder than words, but character speaks louder than action.
There you go.
Black Seas, Manny Strong Records. I do this for my bosses with the keys to the city. Texting every G in the city from the muscle turn to G into plenty. Grind with me, come on. If you all about a dollar. 2 chicks, 2 clips, the Cadillac drivers who started from a squatter, grew up without a father. Come up behind you, I got you. It's the world's top grinder. Not because I got it. I do